You say that there are natural products that can help us get off of SSRIs. Could you talk about that, please?
Yeah. The science behind alternatives to drugs is vast, and in order for me to convey that, I would need audiovisual aids.
Right.
So I'll try to do my best. But the brain is a highly active structure. I mean, it's only 3% of our body weight and volume, but it consumes 20% of the oxygen and 20% or thereabouts of the energy from glucose. So if it's not getting oxygen, not getting glucose, it doesn't survive very long. And so it needs all those systems working well to provide the nourishment, etc. But it's also a heavy consumer of vitamins and minerals and amino acids. All the 60 plus brain neurotransmitters come from food. Basically, most of them come from amino acids, which are the breakdown products of protein.
Okay.
In the protein we eat, there's 20-some, probably 22 different amino acids in the protein chain. They're building blocks. And when we eat protein, we chew it up, goes into our stomach. The stomach's hydrochloric acid breaks down the amino acids into the protein into its individual amino acids, and they go into the intestine and then get absorbed into the bloodstream, and then that goes, and then the blood goes to the brain and every place else, which is where the drugs go. Drugs go into the bloodstream. They go everywhere the blood goes, which is everywhere. It goes to our eyeballs and our livers and our every heart, bone marrow, etc. So the nutrients go there too. And then the brain takes those nutrients and manufactures brain neurotransmitters out of them. So in the case of dopamine and norepinephrine, which are natural antidepressants, we have to be eating tyrosine or phenylalanine, 2 amino acids. In order to get serotonin, we have to be eating tryptophan. And so we have to be eating protein or foods that have those amino acids in, or a supplement.
All right.
I myself take both. I mean, I try to eat food that I know is going to provide my brain and body with healthy nutrients. And if I'm worried about the nutritional content of the foods I'm eating, if I don't always eat organic, I try to eat as organic as I can afford, then I supplement that with nutrients. And so we can support our brain with food. That's where it has to come from food. And if we're eating, a lot of junk food that's synthetic, and margarine, which is synthetic fat, it's plastic basically, our brain is not going to be as healthy as it otherwise would be. So neurologically, we're going to be at a disadvantage. And whenever neurologically our brain is disabled in some way, emotionally and behaviorally, we're going to be different. So
we can suffer brain malnutrition, is what you're saying?
We can suffer, yes. Maybe Americans are all starving for food. We're eating at the convenience store. We're not getting much there. We're getting a lot of toxic food, which is bad for our brain, but we're also not getting what we should be getting, which would be nourishing for our brain. So whereas when I grew up, we had a backyard garden and healthy organic food, the farmers weren't spraying with pesticides and herbicides, they weren't giving hormones to their animals, weren't giving antibiotics to their animals, all those synthetic things are getting in the food supply and we're eating it. Goes into the bloodstream, goes into the brain with effects you don't want to contemplate it, but it's not good. So when we are growing up now, when I grew up, there was no such thing as non-organic food. There probably was some, but we never ate it. So my brain and your brain, hopefully, were brought up on healthy foods.
Not so much. I grew up in the South where everything was fried in pork fat.
Yeah, well, there was organic pork fat.
All right, organic pigs, okay.
Yeah, that's right. But now almost everything is not organic. It's synthetic. It's got dyes in it. It's got processed food. It's got MSG. It's got NutraSweet, Splenda. All those are synthetic chemicals that are not good. They're toxic. And flavor enhancers and things that smell good and look good and taste good, and we're hungry for them because MSG makes our mouth salivate and everything tastes good. And the food industry knows that. They don't sell much that doesn't taste good. So they add stuff that makes it flavorful. But the flavor are synthetic oftentimes and do some damage. So what we have to concentrate on and trying really hard to get all those foods that are healthy for us and they're healthy for the brain. I am really seriously concerned that the food industry is toxifying our brain. Here's a book called The Crazy Makers. What's the subtitle?
How the food industry is destroying our brains and harming our children.
That's right. And it's true. She's a nutritionist and well researched. And it's so true that there was maybe some of the listeners have seen the video documentary called Super Size Me, where a person decided to eat at McDonald's every meal for 30 days. He was just going to do that. He had got tested ahead of time, his liver was fine, everything was fine. By the time the 30 days were up, his liver was deteriorating, he was depressed, he'd gained 30 pounds, he just felt sick. His doctor said, don't do it anymore, quit before the 30 days. It's very instructive. And of course, McDonald's buys the cheapest food possible to make the maximum profits. They sell a lot of French fries, the supersize thing. The videographers, every time they asked, "Can I supersize you?" That was popular at the time. He always said yes. You know, if they didn't, he'd take the small fries. So the French fry oil is heated to high degree temperature, which makes it toxic. Vegetable oils are healthy, but when you heat it up or process it, sterilize it by heat, now you're making it not food value. And so that was probably harming his liver. And then the beef, where was that coming from? You know, how much antibiotics or hormones or pesticides were in that? McDonald's doesn't know, it doesn't care, but it tasted good. And it was also nutritionally depleted. I'm sure that the vegetables that they serve are not organic, you know, it would cost a little too much. So he was eating depleted or toxic food, and it almost killed him.
So the way to get off of the medications is to supplement and eat a healthy diet and avoid being toxic.
Right.
Okay.
If our livers are healthy, then we can break down or metabolize the toxins in the food supply or the water or whatever. There's a lot of toxins that are made just by even metabolizing healthy food. So we need detoxifying things, antioxidants, which is a lot of vitamins are antioxidants or detoxifying agents. So if we have a well-rounded diet that includes fruits and vegetables, organic food, whole foods, organic meats, enough protein, and you don't have to you can be a vegetarian and get enough protein with rice and beans and eggs and things like that. So we don't need to eat meat. But so there are ways that we can make our brains healthy and therefore less likely to suffer so-called mental illness.
Thank you, Dr. Coles.
Welcome.